I'm hoping. Someone give me a comment just to say you can hear me. Video's not working. Is it working now? I think there's a slight delay. You should be seeing my face in a tiny box with a slideshow. If you can confirm that, we'll get stuck in. All good. There you go. Okay, working fine now. Okay, guys, we just had a few RNSs drop. I was about to record a video just on Prem, and I thought, well, better off going live here. A lot to digest in the RNSs that have come out over the last week. So first off, I've been away for a couple of weeks in Spain, having a good time. I'm back. Prem, we had the deadline of the 10th that I guess was missed. Let's be honest, it was missed. But we have received a couple of RNSs about the first being the general meeting that was to take place on the 8th of July. Obviously, it's now scheduled for the 29th of July 2024 at the Chesterfield Mayfair Hotel in London. The addendum and supporting documents are all being posted on their website, so you can read into that. For those that are going to attend, my thoughts on the proposals is the same as what's being pushed. Shareholders are encouraged to review the explanatory notes to the addendum and to vote either in person or by proxy. I won't be there, obviously, in person, but I'd be voting in proxy. And I'd be voting in favour, through gritted teeth in favour. And we talked about this in the Discord. My thoughts is that whatever choice have you got, they need money. People are starting to knock on the door looking the money. And it is what it is. What's the alternative? Don't vote in favour, and then the company doesn't have the money and we're screwed. So for me, it's a easy choice to make, while it's further dilution and all of that. I feel like the share price is hopefully baked that in. I don't think the share price reacted too badly to the news, and that's probably because it was baked in. I think we knew this was coming down the line. There was hints of it before, so it is what it is. Leave your comments. What do you think? Are you voting in favour? Regardless of your feelings of it, what's your thoughts on actually doing it? That's mine. So the resolutions then. The resolution involves the disapplication of the preemption provisions for up to 2 billion ordinary shares. So a hell of a lot of dilution. But again, it's necessary. It's aimed at addressing the outstanding fee. And we kind of knew this was going to come, I think. So it's part of the agreement with CAMAX. They're looking paid, and it's just what's needed, guys. We'll have to keep the ship afloat. And that's just where I sit with it. And they're obviously, George, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, is obviously emphasising to avoid legal action. We don't want legal action. Even if you can get on the right side of the legal action, it's still going to cost a lot of money. So I don't, again, think there's anything else we can do there. We'll have to ensure that there is funding to keep the project going. And we'll get into, obviously, the RNS that followed this one that came out today, and let's just have a look at some of the comments then. Excuse me. Yeah, people are saying there's literally no other option. There really isn't. There really isn't any other option. You'd be foolish, I think, to vote against it. There is no other option. So yeah, I guess that'll probably be voted in favour of. So they engaged with Zenith in 2021 for a share placement of the agreement with CAMAX. So that was well documented at the time. $2.078 million. So pretty much had to pay the piper. They're coming. They're looking their money. And they had Premier African Minerals has obviously committed the shares to Zenith and has not been able to settle the fee due to funding requirements and share price depreciation. So if everything had played out fine, this wouldn't have been an issue. We wouldn't even be talking about it. But we know of the difficulties that Prem has faced through many different excuses, reasoning. Some valid, some maybe not so valid. Mismanagement, things could have been handled better. I think we're all fair enough to say that. However, it's been a difficult project. We hoped that this time last year we'll be in production. We are where we are. I feel, my own thoughts now personally, again, do your own due diligence. I do feel that since we've maybe sorted out some of our subcontractor issues, let's say, I feel, and it's just my feeling, I think if you look at the timeline of when we got rid of, say, Stark and the sort of subcontractor issues, I feel like we've made good progress. Maybe I'm being naive. That's up to you to decide. But I feel that we've been ticking boxes. We're moving down the road. And this resolution would ensure the settlement and it supports, again, more funding to keep the project alive. So this is the second RNS, so that's the difference in the colour scheme. So that's the first RNS out of the way. When we first got that, we didn't think the share price would react too positively to it. Again, it just was kind of flat on that news. Usually that would be a negative thing and the market would sink the share price. But again, at 0.1, and I was talking about it, we've been talking about it a lot in the Discord, and again, the links are down there if you want to get in and have a chat about the Discord. A nominal fee of I think $4 or £3 odd or something. And the only reason I charge a fee is because we did it free before and you got loads of just random people, spammers and all this. So you have to have something sort of filter. So that's what that's about. But we were talking about it anyway, and it's just a difficult one. It's just a difficult one. The project is slowly but surely seeming to go in the right direction. It's been a long, painful road. A lot of us are feeling a lot of pain, and that's due to many different things outside of Premier African Minerals Control. The price of lithium is obviously depreciated a lot over the last 18-24 months. We've also got government changes. Now, one positive that I've taken over the last week or so, we had Labour getting back into power, and they have said they're going to do a reversal on the 2035 changes for diesel combustion engines to be banned. They're going to revert back to what was originally planned at 2030. So shaving off that 5 years should hopefully, in theory, put a bit more emphasis on electric vehicles, which is a big driver for the lithium batteries, obviously. But there's many, I'm saying this, I had a good debate, and I'm going to do a video on it to talk about lithium and the supply and demand thing. A lot of people are thinking that the demand's not there, it's not being uptake is not as much. The EV sales have went down over the last year. Excuse me, have went down over the last year. When you compare it, that car sales are actually up. It's quite a drop. But then if governments are going to constantly change the goalposts, plus you have to factor in, and it's been done through, it's a tale as old as time. There's been plenty of manipulation. The old ways of doing things, they put propaganda and marketing out, the really squash down EVs, make it seem like it's a bad idea, and these cars are blowing up all the time. It's completely and utterly FUD. Yes, there is instances that these things happen, just like any type of car. They can blow up, they can be in car accidents. There's so many bad negative things. But when you've got the old historic dinosaurs that are, you think about the big players, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, these guys, they have all these factories. They're all set up to produce combustion engines. And you can imagine how much money it will cost to change that whole infrastructure across. They need completely just transform all their factories. They're going to have to train all their staff, all the labour. The amount of money that's going to go into these things, they're barely making money on their EV cars that they're putting out. They don't want things to change. And then you've got all the oil tycoons that are obviously seeing this as well, and they're going, well, we don't want to lose out on our money. So propaganda gets put out, all this gets put out. But I think that the general direction is that we're going to go green. EV cars are the future, and whether that happens in 2030, 2035 or 2040, I think it's just only a matter of time. It's taken a long time to get to this point. I mean, there was even talks of 2020 way back when that these things would come into place, and it keeps getting just kicked down the road, I guess. So I'm not too worried. I think eventually it'll all catch up. Yes, lithium is one of the most common commodities that there is. It's practically everywhere. But there's not a lot of companies that are going to be able to produce it. And with that, with the price dropping, there is companies that will make it, and they'll be highly profitable. And there'll be companies that just can't get across the line. And another reason why I'm emphasizing the importance of backing the company in terms of funding. we have to keep the ship going, because if they can get across the line and start producing the tonnage that we've been talking about that they hope they achieve or more, I think we will be in a good place. So the update anyway on the project is the installation. It's been finally completed, and we'll have a lovely video to show you in a moment as well. But the installation of the additional conditioning tanks is complete, and the commissioning has begun. Ore feed is expected to commence from the day of the announcement, so that is the 12th of July. Happy days for anyone that is over in the north of Ireland. Today is a bank holiday for all my Protestant Unionist friends. I hope you have a wonderful day. Georgie Roach went on to say, it's a successful and timely completion of modifications to the float circuit. The new unit is anticipated to significantly increase the recovery and production of the spodumene concentrate. That's what we wanted to hear. It's what we've been waiting for. A day or so perhaps late. We did have an RNS the other day that gave us a decent update, so I was happy enough on the sort of the 9th or the 10th, whatever day it came out, that we were making that progress. And in my head I thought we actually might have, that might have came out and we could be sitting here in a week's time still waiting. So I'm happy that that's came. He said it was waiting on it. It was to come. It would be installed. It's done that. It's came. It's arrived, and it's been installed relatively quickly. He's highlighted the successful and timely completion of the modifications. The new unit is anticipated to significantly increase the recovery, and I have just read this out. So there you go. There is a video, and we'll look at the video now. So for those that haven't seen it, I downloaded it, and hopefully you're seeing that now. But it gives you a bit of gives you a good idea of the work that's been involved here. It is a difficult enough project when you're doing this out in South Africa in the middle of a desert. You can imagine, there's nothing out there. They've had to bring all of this out, set all of this up, and we can get into, well, construction has a timeline and the different phases of that, and they should have anticipated how long it should take, and we talked about snags and delays and what would be reasonable, and in my opinion it's been an unreasonable length of delay. But we had subcontractors that potentially weren't doing what they said they would do, and George has had to take the bull by the horns, and credit where credit's due. I do feel like there's been good progress, and you can see it in these videos. I don't think there's any sound on it, but you can see there has been a lot of work, and now that is working. And the share price had reacted positively. We were down about here. I think this was on the back of the first RNS. It did sink about 4%. Goes back to what I was saying, that the share price really can't go much lower. You have to think about all that machinery that you've just seen there. There is a hell of a lot of presence. There's a lot of resource. There's a lot of, and this is just talking about the Zulu project. We've talked about the other projects and the other assets that Prem has. So when you look at the company as a whole and you look at the share price, it just doesn't marry up. The reason we're so low is because I think shareholders and the market has lost faith in the project being delivered. And I just call a spade a spade. I think the market has been baking in potential, maybe the company going bust or a quick fire sale. And you try to put a valuation on Premier African Minerals, and it's very difficult because yes, you have an asset, but if you just strip it back to basics, people go bankrupt. If I was to go bankrupt tomorrow, the banks would come in, take my house, put it to auction and sell it, and more than likely it would be sold at undervalue. The banks don't care. Debts need paid. They just want their money. They're not in it to make the most buck. They just want to get in, get their assets stripped, and be done with it. Excuse me. Sorry, my throat's racked. But yeah, that's in theory the simple way. So how do you put a valuation on it? Well, I still think 0.4, 0.5 is fair value for where we currently sit while we're commissioning and we're hoping to start producing. We haven't done that yet, and I don't think the share price is going to react really positively until we're starting to really do that. Now, if we vote in favour of this, which provides stability to Prem, it gives Prem and the shareholders confidence that, well, we're going to keep the lights on effectively for a bit longer. And if we're starting to produce, well, then in theory, the only way is up. So it would be interesting to see. I think we're going to have to wait till the end of the month until we do the share price, or sorry, the share raising. But if we vote on that, and in the meantime we're starting to produce and bags are starting to roll out, I would highly expect the share price to recover some. And I think, I mean, worse news is out there. I mean, this is a positive day. We've been able to do what he said we would do. So in theory, we should start seeing the share price go up. And then on the back of that RNS, it did shoot up 10%. And at the peak, we were up about 12%. And if we look at the actual charts then, for a bit more technical, while it's not loaded, let me just refresh the screen here. Let's have a look at some comments. The propaganda is outrageous. It is a lot of, I mean, and even just taking away all the stuff that I mentioned there, you've got to think about all the shorts, all the other companies that want Prem to fail. You don't know who's watching this. They could be looking at it, rubbing their hands together, licking their lips, thinking, right, this company doesn't make it, we're going to build a swoop in potentially and get this. Will CarMax have first refusal of the site? Probably, but still, there's so many factors at play. There really is. And AIM markets are just horrible markets to be in. So many companies can just put out whatever version of their company profile that they want and hope that people are going to buy into it. And if a CEO is corrupt and doesn't want to, do what, or just pretty much lie, they can get away with it, which is just disgusting. But that's an argument for a different day. I think a lot more needs done in terms of regulations of these AIM companies. But, that's not going to be solved on my YouTube channel, that's for sure. Plant looks great, but we obviously only need one thing now. Yeah, well, Darren, I think you're right. We need to get producing. We need to get the bags rolling out on the back of the lorries and money starting to come in. But like I said, get the share raise done, get that approved, get the money in the bank. Hopefully we'll hear a decent update on the bags that we have already produced while they're not up to the full grade. Hopefully we can start generating some income properly from that. And just start snowballing slowly but surely. We start getting a bit more confidence in. We've got money to keep the lights on, and things should start changing is what I'm hoping for. Maybe again being a bit optimistic. It's funny seeing Coda and the Basic Foundation photos yet valued far more as a company at the moment. Goes into what I was saying. I think we had that with Prem. We did touch the 1p about 12, 13 months ago. And the reason we did that is because anticipation, because we were ticking the boxes, things were going along the right direction. But as you dilute the company, that's going to bring the price down, and just failure after failure and disappointment after disappointment. And then people start thinking, well, these guys are, there's debt owed, there's money that needs paid. And yeah, unfortunately, I think, as I said, the market's just lost all faith. Let me just have a look at the share price on Google. So it's saying we're up only 1% now. It is dipped. Whether that's swing traders potentially looking in, rolling the dice. I mean, there's a nice 10, 12% some people may have got, and there has been people, if we look at this the last 5 days, if you were snapping up shares around these prices, you've done okay out of it. Talked about this in the Discord as well. Really the share price hasn't done really anything in a very long time. We're looking back between the 30th of May till now, so that's about 6-7 weeks really of nothing. Good or bad, we've had some positive news. Share prices pumped a bit, bad news dipped a bit, but it's just sitting flat at 0.1. It just doesn't want to move, and I don't think it will move until we get that proper production. But we're after today's RNS looking a lot more likely of that happening now, which is encouraging, I think. I had originally drew some of these really low bearing lines. For me, any good pump, and I would have hoped that we may have got that, but I think if you read that RNS in its detail, there is a lot of ambiguous maybe statements, anticipated, we hope, all this. They need to get it done. But we should see, once we get some bags out the door, we should see a good rise up to 0.13. That'll be resistance. But once we can break out of that, then I feel 0.23 will be the next target for us. You can see here as well, the struggle to get above our moving averages. First one you got to be looking at is the 9-day moving average. If we can get above the weekly average and stay above that 20-day moving average and just try to build on the momentum, that would be positive. Look at the RSI. I mean, it's just flat. It's just saying, look, this company is massively oversold. It's rock bottom. It's only going to go lower if the worst comes. And I just don't think that's going to come. There'll be maybe people that are a bit anxious about the AGM. But to me, if you're a shareholder of Prem, I mean, the choice is easy. I'd be stunned if we don't get the votes. But like I said, shenanigans, bigger players do have a lot of shareholders. For the likes of Camax, do have a lot of stake in Prem. You know, I'm not saying this is going to happen, and I highly doubt it's going to happen because it's massively going to benefit Camax if we can start producing. But, you know, who's to say that they don't vote in favour of it and they're looking at a quick fire sale? You just do not know what's going to come. So the market's going to be nervy, I think, until the AGM. But if we can start producing bags, that's going to really shore up things. And the share price will pump. It will pump very hard on the back of good deliveries, but we're not there yet. Let's have a look at the MACD. It's showing a bit of upside, but I think you've got to wait. You've got to wait to break these averages, and you've got to wait on significant news. I don't think technically there's anything that's going to make this move. But let that news fizzle out. People take the weekend. The news gains come out on a Friday. Let people think about it. This would be maybe an opportunity for people to be buying, loading up with the anticipation that a new week comes along and it'll be a fresh start. People digest the news, get the weekend over. Monday should be a green day, in my opinion. Whether it's a big green day, I don't know, and for the reasons mentioned, but it should, in theory, start pushing on a bit if we can start doing good stuff. So look, that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's been a horrible ride to date. We don't need to talk any more about it. We know where we're at. It seems like a lifetime ago that we were 21st of April, 90% down as it stands. Brutal, really, really brutal. And the year to date, we're sitting 81% down. So it's not been for the faint of heart, that's for sure. I'm still holding. Am I buying on this news is maybe a question people are going to ask. I would be buying, but I'm down about 70. What am I down? I've got two positions. For those that don't know, I've got a position on Trading 212, which I stopped buying about a year ago because they can't get orders through. They're horrible. And if anyone else is finding the same, I would move your money to iWeb or open up a position in iWeb, which is what I did. You do pay for the trade, £5 though. Orders go through generally straight away, which is great. And I've got a position in there. My average position is just shy of 0.39. I think it's 0.389 or something. So say 0.39. So still pain, still feeling quite a bit of pain. Let's have a look. We're down about, it's not quite, I'm down about 70%, which is not good. But I'm hoping that we do all the things that we said. We'll fairly see the share price go back up to those levels. So I'll just have a quick look at some questions and then we'll wrap it up, guys. Shorts only have limited gains. That's a good point, Darren. You know, you'd be an absolute idiot unless you knew some insider information and the worst was to come. No one's opening up short positions at these prices. I mean, you're taking a real gamble. You're pretty much taking a short position, hoping that the company's going to go bust, or a quick fire sale, or the worst is going to come. And I just don't think that's going to happen. And even if we get a quick fire sale, the share price will react to that positively, unless it's a full entire. Just, I don't know. I don't think it could happen. I think if the company sells up in any capacity, we're going to see a pump, and I'm hoping that the pump will be of decent value, at least sort of the 0.4 to get me out of the woods. But I would imagine 0.5 based on the 52-week high, which does sit at 0.6. So I'm hoping 0.5, really 0.4, I would be out of the woods. And I would be, you know, if it's a sell, if it's a full company sell, like there's other companies that we've done on the channel that once they agree the sale price, what you'll find is, say for Toxic, the sale price was 0.5. It'll probably float around 0.4, baking in that the transaction won't go through. We've looked at, say, Matterport recently. It agreed its sale months ago. Share price, whatever it was, to be sold at, it sits below. It sits usually about 10% below. 15% below, just baking in case this doesn't happen until it closes. So you could roll the dice of just holding these types of companies. Once it completes, you'll get the share price that it was agreed at, but the market's always going to bake in the risk. So we'll just have to watch this space. I feel a lot more happier today than what I did a few days ago with Prem, but disappointing maybe that the share price isn't pumped. But if you do read that RNS, you can kind of see it's a double whammy. Here's the bad news: we do need to do dilution. It's going to come. But here's the good news: we've delivered on it. Can they do a bit more on the delivery side of things? Show us a wee bit more progress to get us a bit more in favour? I think they need to. I think we need to see a lot more between now and the end of July. But potentially that's why they've postponed the AGM to do that, to show us a bit more. Maybe they're looking at it going, right, we're actually at a position here where we can start doing this. Trust me, if we can get bags out the door, this AGM is going to be a lot easier for people to digest and be supportive of. And then hopefully this could be the last big round of dilution, and we can actually start paying debts and money owed and all that, and keep the diesel machines running with profits. And wouldn't that be a lovely place to be in? Do we believe production will happen before the AGM, thus everything becomes just a tick box exercise? Well, I've just covered that. At this stage, let's hope for the best, expect the worst. But in theory, that's where it should probably be sitting at. So that's the video. Forgive my voice. I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams. I'm hoping to do several hours of live streams over the coming weeks. YouTube's going to be my full focus now, having tidied up a lot of my Amazon business, my refurbishment business. I've got those things set up to a point now, and I want to really get back into YouTube. So I hope to see you all. If you can like and subscribe to the channel, appreciate that. If you're interested in getting the Discord, the wee link's down there. Feel free to get into that. Happy 12th of July to everybody, and I will see everyone, I hope,